Hey everyone, Algranath here from Return of the Fan, and today you might have come across that Dune has been released in certain markets internationally, not in the domestic US market yet. And there's been a few articles about how it's going, so let's have a look at one of these articles. So from Screen Daily, global box office Dune delivers stronghold in early markets. Shang-Chi retains top spot only because Dune hasn't fully released everywhere yet. So that's probably why. Um, so if you don't know, Dune is a massive science fiction series of books, and it's been turned into a movie quite a few years ago, although that movie didn't do so well, and they've just done another remake. I guess a reboot of that particular movie because it wasn't very well. All of the kind of things that have been coming out about this movie is that the movie is actually supposed to be quite fantastic. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm a huge science fiction fan, but I never got into reading Dune when I was young, and I didn't see the first Dune movie. In fact, I might have seen it when it was on TV, but I just can't remember it now. So I'll be interested to see how this movie goes, and I'll be interested in going to see this movie in this theatre as well. So let's have a look. So we can see that Shang-Chi is number one. So if you look at the cumulative world, it's got $363 million. Awesome, good for it. Dune just releasing, remember not in all markets yet, is already up to 76.5 million. So that doesn't include the domestic market either. So assume that cumulative with world means domestic and international. Um, so yeah, so that's looking really good for Dune, right? So let's carry on and have a read of this article. So Warner Brothers and Legendary's Dune delivered a strong second session in its early wave of international markets, grossing a confirmed 26.8 million from 32 territories, including 8 newly opened smaller countries. In the 24 holdover markets, the decline from the opening session was a slim 32%. So the decline from the first sessions of movies to the next lot was only 32%, which is actually really good. So it means that the movie is actually holding up, and it should have some legs to keep going and still raking in the money. So the total after 2 weekends of play is 77.8 million. Dune has yet to release in many major international markets such as China, UK, Ireland, Japan, Mexico, and Brazil. Um, Also the US, which is the domestic market. So those are huge countries, right, that haven't been released yet. So that's, if we're looking at the smaller countries that have been producing that amount of income, then the bigger countries are just going to really increase that much, much more as well. So things are looking really good for this movie. So I'm hoping it's going to be a really fun and interesting movie. Um, However, in like-for-like markets, at the same stage of release, Dune is 49% ahead of Black Widow and 64% ahead of Shang-Chi, which is supposed to be the highest grossing movie of the year. So that means Dune is probably going to overtake that. That Dune is just eviscerating both Black Widow and Shang-Chi, right? I mean, that's huge. 49% ahead of Black Widow, 64% ahead of Shang-Chi, taking in like-for-like countries. So, I mean, I guess it could be, what the tastes are for those particular countries, but you wouldn't expect the countries which are listed below to be huge kind of science fiction fans in there. So among the new territories, United Arab Emirates opened with just below a million. So, they've got a lot of people, but again, they might, maybe that country's not so into science fiction. Who knows? I don't want to try and be generalizing on a population or anything. And Saudi Arabia with just under a million as well. Russia, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain were the top 5 countries for June at the weekend and are also the top 5 overall. In cumulative totals, this quintet are as follows: Russia's 15 million, France 14 million, Germany 10.2 million, Italy 5.2 million, and Spain 4.9 million. So just remember, a lot of these countries still having to deal with the COVID issues at the moment. So there is that to factor in. Although, take into account Shang-Chi had the same problem. All right, so all of the movies coming out around here are going to have the same problem. So I guess it'll be a straight foot straight comparison. Um, So yeah, so there we can see that Shang-Chi's pulling in quite a few good results from those particular countries. It's going to be really interesting once the big countries come in, so UK, US, and some of the other countries as well. So hopefully that will be able to keep going, and I'm hoping that Dune will become the top grossing movie for this year, because I think Shang-Chi wasn't, I haven't seen it, but from what I've read from reports and seeing some YouTube reviews and so on, it's an okay movie, but it's not Marvel's best movie, shall we say. So it was, highly, what's the word I'm looking for? Highly decorated up by the reviewers and so on, because it's got an Asian lead. But they didn't really talk more about the movie and so on. So anyway, that's it for this particular video. Are you going to see Dune? I'd be interested to know. Will you be going to see it at the theatre, or will you wait for it to show it at home? In fact, I believe in the US it's going to be released in theatres and on HBO Max at the same time. I just can't understand that strategy from Warner Brothers and Legendary. I mean, you could just maybe release it 2 or 3 weeks after it's on HBO. You could release it on HBO Max 2 or 3 weeks after you've released it in theaters. So that way, people who want to see it straight away will have to go to the theaters and spend money, and also keep the theaters alive, right? Because that's another thing. If we don't get people going to the theaters, they're going to close down, and so it's going to become a very niche thing. Whereas, do we really want to watch movies on our 60-inch TV when we can see it on a massive screen in the theater? I think that's the way to go, is watching it on the very biggest screen you can actually get. So we need to keep those cinemas going. So yeah, I just can't understand the decision of releasing it at the same time. Just release it on cinemas, put it on HBO Max 2 or 3 weeks later, and then you kind of got the best of both worlds, hopefully. I guess their thinking is that if you put it on HBO Max at the same time, some people will then get a subscription for HBO Max, and then hopefully keep them with their subscription and keep the subscription going. So I guess they want to try and make money that way. But I would suggest that people would likely take a subscription. I don't know how the subscription for HBO Max actually works, whether it's a week by week thing, or monthly, whatever it is. But if it's monthly, you can just subscribe for a month and then unsubscribe. So I guess that's how it goes. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave some comments, click the thumbs up to give it a like. You could give it a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Well, that's fine as well. I'm happy with that. And if you like my content, then please subscribe. It'll also help my videos to get put out there through the YouTube algorithm. And hopefully we can keep producing more content. Anyway, that's it from Argonath. I will catch you in the next video. Bye.